Hello everybody, how are you doing today? Are you happy? I hope so. Are you good? I hope so. So this is me again, Yassin, an English teacher here in the Regional Directorate of قناة. In today's class, we're going to have a lot of fun. So keep focused, we will enjoy it. Okay, so today I want to ask you a question. What did you do last weekend? Yassin, what did you do last weekend? Last weekend? Alright, well, last weekend I visited my family and I called my friend and I played guitar with some friends in the park and I watched my favorite movie, Avengers. Thank you, Yassin. Okay, guys, so these are Yassin's last weekend activities. Let's study them. So, I visited my family. I played guitar with some friends. I called my friend. I watched an American film or movie, Avengers. Okay, my next question to you is, can you please underline all the verbs in these examples? Just verbs. Okay, let's do it together. So in the first example, I is the subject, the verb is visited. Second one, subject, verb played, very good. Number 3, I called, yes. And the last one, excellent, I watched. Watched is the verb. Now, what can you notice, guys, concerning these verbs? So these are verbs. Do we use them in the present? Now, these verbs, are they in the present, past, or future? Of course, it's past because these are last weekend's activities. So these are verbs here in the past. Okay? So these are activities that I did in the past, last weekend. Now, what do you notice concerning these verbs? So we have this ed here. So the infinitive is visit plus ed. And we have play in the infinitive plus ed. Call in the infinitive plus ed. And then watch is the infinitive plus ed. Okay? Now, so for these verbs, we add ed. So we have verb plus ed to make what we call past verbs. Now, these verbs, visit, play, call, watch, when we add ed to these verbs, we make what we call regular verbs. Repeat, regular verbs. Very good. Regular verbs. So today's class is going to be about regular verbs. This is for grammar. All right, now, so this is the form of the regular verbs. So the form is verb plus ed. For example, visit becomes visited. And the verb play becomes played, etc., etc. Okay? So this is the form. Now, let's move on to the use. Why we need to use these verbs in simple past? Because these actions took place in the simple past, in the past. So these are past events or past actions. So we use simple past to talk about or to express past actions or events. Okay? So to talk about the past actions or past events. Now, some of you may ask, okay, when am I going to use simple past? Well, there are some indicators that will help you. For example, whenever you find last week, for example, last week, last month, last year, very good. Last year, last weekend, last week or last weekend. So we have it here, last weekend. Yesterday. Yesterday, etc., etc. Okay? Now, let's do this for the use. Great. Now let's move on to some spelling rules that you need to consider when dealing with regular verbs in the past. Okay guys, now I invite you to study some spelling rules that you need to know. Now, number one, verbs ending in E. So whenever you have a verb that ends in E, what do? You put the verb plus D. You don't not double the E. Okay, so for example, live, lived, dance, danced. 2. Verbs ending in a consonant plus Y. For example, try becomes tried because I pick this Y here and I change it into I. Then I put ED. For example, try becomes tried. You see, we change the Y here into the I. Plus ed. Cry, cried. 3. Double the last consonant. So whenever you have a verb that is ending with a consonant, for example, stop, so we double the last consonant here. For example, stop becomes stopped, double P plus ed. Plan, we double the N, it becomes planned. Number 4, verbs ending in L. So verbs that end with L, we actually double the L. For example, travel becomes traveled, L-E-D. Okay? Now let's move on to some rules concerning the regular verbs. So we're going to go over the affirmative sentences, negative sentences, and interrogative sentences. Now let's take the verb play. In the affirmative, I say, this is in the past, I played, you played, he, she, it played, we played, you played, they played. Okay? I played football last weekend with my friends. Let's go now to the negative form. So with negative, you should pay attention because there is something that we add. So with negative, I use I did not, or you can say I didn't, the short form. Didn't or did not. I did not play. Now pay attention to this verb. This verb here is in the infinitive. Why? Because we have did. Because we have this one here in the negative, I use the verb in the infinitive. You did not play. He, she, it did not play. We, the same thing, did not play. You did not play. They did not play. Now let's move on to the last one, which is interrogative, when we want to ask a question. Now here, we start with, we take the negative and then we switch. We take this and we put it here. Did, so it becomes in the beginning, comes in the beginning, okay? Then we have the subject. So we have did plus subject plus verb in the infinitive. Why? Again, because we have did. So did I play football with friends last weekend? Then we have a question mark. The same thing here. Did you play football? Question mark. Did he, she, or it play football, etc. Did we play football last weekend? Did you play football last weekend? Did they play football last weekend? Okay, so these are some rules that you need to put in mind when dealing with regular verbs. Now let's go to some practice. Okay? Practice number 1. I invite you to transform these verbs into the simple past. Okay? Let's take the first verb here, invite. So the verb invite, it ends with E. So we add D. So it becomes invited. Answer, answered. ED. Listen, listen. Listened, ED. Explain, I explained. Last week I explained. So, explain plus ED. At the end, work, worked. ED. Study. Now you pay attention because we have here Y. Before Y we have the consonant. It becomes study. I changed the Y into I. Studied. I-E-D. Try. The same thing. I plus ED. Tried. Live. It ends with E. Becomes lived. Okay guys, now I will see you in the second exercise. Here we go again guys, with the second exercise. Put the verb between brackets in the simple past. Now we have a list of sentences here and we need to conjugate these verbs in the simple past. Let's start with the first one. My friend visited us last weekend. So my friend, very good, visited us last weekend. 2. I called my friend, my uncle, yesterday. I called. Good. Number 3. We study hard for the exam. So, we answer all the questions. Yes, so we studied hard for the exam, so we answered. With ED at the end. All the questions. 4. My family live in Wargi 3 years ago. So my family lived in Wargi. 5. Jess not finish her homework. So this is negative. So Jess did not finish her homework. Number 6, coronavirus start in China. So started in China. 7, again this is a question at the end. Sorry, this 7, yeah. This is a question, interrogative. So 7, you wash your hands before you have cooked dinner. So, did, for the questions, did you wash? The verb in the infinitive the same. Wash your hands before you cooked, eating, dinner. Now that's it for this exercise. Now let's move on to the last exercise here, which is going to be a paragraph. Now write a short paragraph about things or activities that you did last weekend. Okay? You can start your paragraph, of course, with an example like this. This is just optional, okay? If you have another way, you can do it. Last weekend was special for me. And you talk about activities that you did last weekend. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching and following me. See you in the next video.